cold as a razor blade.
Episode of the Snake Pit, but this week we are unfortunately missing our man Jake again. He's still out there in Wyoming. He was doing a big celebrity event, which is really cool. It was called Celebrities for a Cause, and Jim Duggan was out there. Jake spent some time out there with Eric Bischoff and Sonny Ono, so I'm sure he'll have some stories for us when he makes his return, which is actually this Thursday. He and I are set to do a recording for next week's episode, so hang in there. The Snake is coming back. I did try to get a special guest to come on, but unfortunately, again, schedules didn't align. I do think that I set up a really cool special guest for down the road, so stay tuned for that. But this week we are still doing something really fun. This week is going to be a compilation episode of all of Jake's 1986. So if you remember, Jake came into the WWF in 1986, became Jake the Snake on the biggest stage he's ever done it in. And we all know how that went. He knocked it out of the park, became a pop culture icon like he is today. So it's the full story of what happened with Jake during his first year in the WWF. We talk about him meeting Vince. We talk about the rivalry with Ricky Steamboat, the DDT on the floor, of course, WrestleMania 2, his first ever WrestleMania. We wrap it up talking about the first ever Snake Pit and the rivalry that could have been between him and Hulk Hogan. So this is a really fun episode. I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I hope that you'll tune in next week for a new episode of The Snake Pit. You mentioned that on that episode that you made a call to Vince after being told that you were the number 5 babyface in Mid-South, despite the fact that you had been getting crazy crowd reactions and your DDT was undoubtedly the hottest finish in wrestling. Now, on the other side of the fence, Jim Crockett Promotions was hitting on all cylinders following 1985 Starrcade pay-per-view, The Gathering, and the creation of the Four Horsemen at the end of November 85. 86 is about to be JCP's most profitable year in company history. So all of that makes me wonder, Jake, did you ever consider making a call to see if you could return to Mid-Atlantic instead of calling Vince?
Absolutely not.
What held you off?
Well, I've been through there. I've spent a lot of time with Ole, and I just didn't see them as good for me. I fit what they wanted. They were looking for the body beautifuls and, the guys that are, ripped up and cut up. And, they were looking for monsters. And to go against who they had, and it just wouldn't have fit. I wouldn't have fit for them.
Man, it's fun to think about you and JCP during that era with all the talent that was over there and some kind of like the dream combinations that we as fans could have seen. But again, as you and I discuss your experience in Mid-Atlantic just a few years prior to this, it's like, it doesn't sound like it was always great.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't for me anyway. I just never got off the ground, man. I was there for probably over a year and just hard grind, never having a door open for me, never having the opportunity to do anything different or exciting, never having an angle shot on television. They shot a little bit apart. They started one with Ole and me and Piper, but they never followed it up.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a match. There was never bringing us together. So what was that for? So unfulfilled dreams and promises.
So you're looking to secure your future, and it's like, I'm not going to turn back to those people who I had this bad experience with. And it's hard to blame you for eyeing the WWF, with their crazy success that they're having with Hogan there on top, and the fact that WrestleMania had been just a massive hit.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, though, you called Vince after the conversation with Terry Taylor didn't go well, and you had given your 2 weeks notice. But then when you called Vince, you were told that he'd be out of the country for 10 days. So at that point, you had 2 weeks left with Mid-South and nowhere to go afterwards.
I was out of a job, man. I'm like, what have I done? I wanted to kick myself in the ass again, thinking, here I am. My wife is going to go off on me when she finds out that I quit my job and don't have anything else ready. She didn't. She believed in me. Why, I do not know. No, I'm just kidding. She always supported me in whatever I did. She was really great about that.
Man, nothing like having a woman behind you that supports you and believes in you, and, she had good reason. You'd had a lot of success here along the way,
Yeah,
and it's making me wonder, though, I mean, despite your success, you're talking about moving up to, quote, unquote, "the big time."
yeah,
Um, were you confident that Vince would offer you a position when you returned and got your message?
yeah. I was real confident with that because I had been asked before to go there, you know, and I turned him down.
Wow.
That wasn't real smart. No, whenever they took over Georgia Championship Wrestling, they wanted me to stay with them, and
Oh,
I did.
man.
I went to fucking Von Erich territory. Oh my god.
Well, that's interesting. I've never heard that about you.
Yeah.
What made you think at the time that, like, WCCW might be a better choice for me?
Well, it just made me angry that they came in there and jerked the business out from under me. Here I was booking it, running it, in control of the talent. I was writing the television, doing all of it, and they jerked my dream out from under me, and it really pissed me off. So I was angry at them. So when they asked me if I wanted to come with them, I said, "Fuck you, man! I don't want to go with you, motherfuckers." And that's just the way I said it too.
Yep, if I remember right, you actually tore up the book right in front of
Yeah,
Vince and said, "Shove it up your ass."
shove this up your ass. You'll need it.
Well, like, we know that Vince is all business, which is so it doesn't really surprise me that he would look past that and wanna bring you in, but I'm curious, what changed your opinion regarding Vince in the WWF that you were like, "Okay, now it's time to go?"
Well, for lack of choices, I mean,
Ah,
I had to make here whether to go to stay and be the number five baby face. Fuck you. Or go to Crockett or try to hang on somewhat place else and make money. Well, there was no place else to make money. All the little places were going away. And if you could get in somewhere, you wouldn't make any money because everybody was wanting a job. So it just, the choice was Crockett or Vince. And I went with Vince.
you already knew what was waiting for you in Crockett after your first experience, so now it's time to try something new. When you do finally hear back from Vince, how does that go? Does he set up a meeting or does one of his people do it?
Oh, he did it all, man. He told me to get on an airplane and get my ass up there.
We always hear that when Vince sees a lot of potential in somebody, he will invite them to his house as opposed to inviting them to meet at the office. Were you at the house?
I was at the office.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, maybe that was a thing that happened down the road where he would invite people over, but that's a thing that I've heard over the years. Have you ever heard that narrative about Vince?
Or I've been to his house several times.
Okay. Once he got to know you a little bit better, he was like, "Oh, this guy's got it."
Yeah.
Aside from Vince, who else was present at this initial meeting?
Oh, Blackjack Lanza came in and then left. Pat Patterson came in and left. And then it was just Vince and I,
Mm.
and he sat there and told me they had an idea for me. And I'm like, well, what's the idea? And he's like, well, we're going to dress you up in neon green or purple tights. And I'm like, tights? I don't do tights, man. If you've watched me, you've seen what I wear. I wear the karate pants with slip-on boots. And he's like, well, that's not what we're doing. We got a spot for somebody that will wear purple tights or lime green, wear knee-high snakeskin boots. And I'm thinking, knee-high snakeskin boots. How long is that going to take to lace them fucking things up? Like hell no in my mind, you know. and he like and carry a snake, but at the same time he's writing down some numbers on a piece of paper, and he slides that over to me, and it says $1,000,000 on it. And I just looked at that $1,000,000 and went, "Fuck yeah, I'll look great in lime green, man, no problem." And hell, that's probably going to give me more support on my ankles, man. The older I get, it'll probably be a good thing for me. Yeah, great idea, man. Great idea. Carry a snake, no fucking problem, man. I didn't care what it was, But that's, when somebody throws $1,000,000 in your face, you're going to do something, brother. If you've never had a chance to break out and break out on top, this was my opportunity to rise to the top, and I'm going to do it better than anybody could do it. And because my mind, but hell, I was Jake the Snake for years. I'd already incorporated snake moves and shit in my gimmick, and this was going to be easy.
To your point, you had been Jake for years. You'd spent a long time kind of honing this and establishing your character. And even in 1986 here, the WWF presentation was much more about sports entertainment than it was about pro wrestling. And actually on his podcast, Arn has said that one of the things that that worried him the most was that Vince would change his character, make him entirely a cartoon character. So, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, $1 million offer, I mean, that is nothing to fuck around with. However, at the time, it's like you'd worked really, really hard to get where you are in wrestling. Were you concerned he was going to damage the Jake the Snake character?
No, not at the time. I've always believed, you can dress me up in pink or do it, or polka dots. Remember somebody doing polka dots? It didn't destroy them, brother. He got it over. And that's the thing with me. My shit is so tight, you can't see through it. And whatever I do, people believe it. And as long as I kept that going, I wasn't worried about hurting the character or any of that shit. Because I knew as long as I went out there and worked my style, nobody could hurt it.
Man, that's a really good point, and it's something that Ted has actually said is like, because he came from the same kind of background as you did. He's also second generation, and a lot of people ask him like, "Oh man, you went from being, the guy with the glove to $1 million man Ted." He's like, "Yep," but as soon as I took that suit off and got into the ring, I was Ted DiBiase again.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Well, I know that you had been around Vince previously. Obviously, you told him to shove that book up his ass.
Yeah,
But this would have been probably the most extended conversation you had with him up to this point, right?
yeah, for sure.
Now, what had you heard about him prior to this?
I heard you got to watch him, man, and he'll have you saying yes, and that's exactly what happened.
So he's like a great salesman, essentially.
Great salesman, that, and he knows the psychology too. He knows how to play you. He knows how to play you. The meeting itself didn't take 15 minutes.
That's it.
That's it.
So the most important, impactful meeting of your whole life, less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah, I thought so too, And then afterwards, he said, "Hey, why don't you go to a show tonight and see some of the guys?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, how do I get there?" He's like, "I got a car for you." A what? It was a limo.
Wow.
And a limo took me to White Plains, New York, and I watched the show. But it was odd going into the locker room, man, because right off the bat, I felt jealousy. I felt that. Guys going, "Oh my God, he's coming in," and worried about their spot. They wanted to know if I was going to be babyface or a heel, and I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be a heel." The baby faces were happy, but the heels weren't.
That's interesting because it was going to be one of my questions coming up later is that like this is a hyper competitive period of time in the WWF. You don't work, you don't get paid. And like, these guys are all kind of jockeying for position. You're coming in with this reputation of being a great worker and a great promo. You've got a really interesting gimmick with a snake.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot to be uncomfortable about for these guys. I mean, how long do you think it took before, the guys started to actually treat you like one of the boys?
Probably 3 months.
Okay.
It took some time, man, and but it never went away. It was still there. Even though there were some guys that took me in, and one of them was Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco, Bob Orton. Uh, there were some guys. I can't remember many more names than that, but Greg Valentine.
Mm.
Greg doesn't give a fuck.
Man, good on them, because it's like I can kind of see both sides of it where it's like, yeah, you want to help bring somebody up and elevate the product, but then it's also like, what if this dude takes my job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it decided right then and there during this meeting that you're going to be a heel?
Yeah.
How did you feel about it? Because for context for our listeners, you were coming off a really hot babyface run in Mid South. The DDT was getting this massive reaction from fans, and here, they're planning to put you on a snake or with a snake on TV, thereby
Yeah.
making you a very interesting character right out of the gate. So I mean, it's. Do you think you would have been more comfortable in a babyface role?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I wanted to be a heel. You know, I really wanted to be a heel because your champion's a babyface.
Mm.
So I want to be the guy that fights the champion. You know.
You weren't eyeing merchandise or anything like that. You were thinking, I want to work on top with Hogan.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew that no matter what I did, I'd start out as a heel, but I would turn babyface because that's just the way it works with me. People can't people can't see through my shit, so they give up on hating me and start cheering for me.
I think it was pretty inevitable, not just the snake, but again, the DDT. I mean,
Yeah,
the crowds had been training you that like, oh, if I do this, they're gonna cheer, and they did.
yeah, they did, man, because they seen it as a badass fucking thing to do.
Yep, looks like it kills the guy. How can you not like that?
Right? No wonder they popped.
Which I think is a big reason why Goldberg got so over is like he looked like he was cutting people in half with that fucking spear, and like all of a sudden people are standing up like, oh my god, did you see that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, he's babyface all the way, man.
Yep.
Whether he
Um,
wants it or not.
Now coming out of that meeting, did you feel like Vince was a guy that you could put your faith in?
No, no, because he was too smooth.
Mm.
You know, and his reputation of going around and shutting people down, chewing them up, and spitting them out. That concerned me. My own concern was chew me up and spit me out. You know, but I was hoping he couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's when somebody comes at you that with that kind of a smooth sales pitch, it's
Yeah,
like, ooh, kind of puts your radar up a little bit, I'm sure.
it does, man. It really did.
Now, another interesting aspect here is that historically, Vince kept the creative decisions within his little inner circle, and the creative process in the spring of 1986 was largely determined by him and Pat Patterson until Bruce Pritchard would come along the next year. Now you're coming off of being being part of the creative process in both Georgia and Mid South.
Right.
Was there ever any discussion of having you help with creative or wrestling only?
I told Vince when I was talking to him the first time I met him that my true joy was to be a writer,
Mm.
write for the WWF. And he said, "Well, right now there's nothing available, but we'll keep that in mind. And when you're through doing your run, then we'll move you to that position."
Yeah.
So he's done said yes to everything I asked for.
So even something he's like kind of taking away from you, he's also at the same time saying, "But you can have it later."
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, he is pretty smooth, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Well, famously in the WWF, there are no guaranteed contracts, only what Vince calls guaranteed opportunities. Anything you can share about the first contract agreement as far as what to expect from the house shows or pay? Like you said that he gave you this $1 million figure. I mean, like, is that like $1 million a year, or you'll make this during your run, or like what was implied there?
$1 million a year was implied.
Whoa, whoa.
Never happened.
It would be like the biggest contract ever in wrestling at that point by probably a long shot, aside from, of course, what Hogan was making.
Yeah.
Man, kinda I mean, at what point when you're getting your payoffs do you kinda throw that back in his face and say like, "Hey, dude, this is not exactly what you showed me."
Well, I did that. And he said, wait till you do your run with Hogan.
Mm,
And that was early on. Even though I was making, like averaging between 7 and 15,000 a week.
pretty good.
That's not bad, man. That's pretty good when you're looking it back and saying, well, Mid South, I was making 1,500. Oh well, huh? And driving all those miles
Yep.
and taking a beating, man. But yeah, it's hard to bitch when you're making 7, 10, 12, 15, and occasionally a 20. Yeah, it's hard to bitch then.
Gotta be the best money you'd made in your entire career up to that point, right?
Fuck yeah, by far.
So even though man, what's funny about that is, like, okay, you might be disappointed about, like, not making the million, but, like, once you see those checks, you gotta be like, "Okay, never mind, I'm doing fine."
Within 3 months, I bought a house,
Dude, incredible.
and I never imagined myself buying a house. I mean, not with the money you made at Mid South or anywhere else. You had to save a lot of damn money.
Now, you mentioned the travel in Mid South. Did Vince or Blackjack or whoever else popped into the room? Did anybody mention what kind of travel commitment you were in for with the WWF?
Oh, they told me I was going to be flying my ass off,
Okay,
but flying's a whole lot easier than driving your ass off, and it is a lot easier.
hmm so worthwhile, but holy shit, man, it's that's kind of a lot of pressure, and I would imagine it's a lot of pressure whenever you call home and you've got this great news for Cheryl, but then you're saying, by the way, I'm going to be gone all the time.
Well, I told her I was going to be gone a lot, and her answer was, "You're gone a lot already." And you think about the Mid South days, man. Yeah, you went home every night, but what'd you do when you got home? You went straight to fucking bed. You get up about 11 o'clock the next day. You'd be around for 2 or 3 hours, and it's time to go again.
Mm.
So how much are you really there? You know, and and again, she stood behind me with everything that I've done, and she damn sure stood behind me now because now she's getting a home,
Yeah.
and she's over the top excited. Christ, are you kidding? We
And
toughed this out for a little while.
life-changing money, like, that's, going from whatever, 1,500 a week to 7 grand or, sometimes, double that amount, triple that amount, like, dude, insane.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times that I'm like, I've had it. I can't do it anymore. I'm fed up with this bullshit. And she'd say, well, your check just got in and it was 16,000. Well, fuck, I can do it for another week anyway.
Yeah, maybe I can stick this thing out.
Yeah, I'll try to hold on.
Where do you guys buy a house? Because I hear that a lot of people are pressured to or want to move up north when they get this big opportunity.
Oh, I bought one in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there ever a thought of moving up north?
Yeah, there was. There was an opportunity to me whenever I took over the started booking for him full time in '96,
Mm.
that he wanted me to move up there, and Cheryl said absolutely not. You know, and he offered me quite a deal, man. He was going to buy me a home and put me up in it, and then after 3 years, the home would be mine.
Wow.
So that's an incentive.
But you got to do what makes the wife happy, and I get that. Well, Jake, your in-ring debut with the WWF takes place on March 2nd, 1986 at the Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto on a card that features Savage, Piper, Orndorff, Bob Orton, and Steamboat. It draws 12,500 fans, and for context, Hulk Hogan was not among the names that I just put out there. So
Right.
you guys are bringing 12,500 fans to Toronto without Hogan on the card. I mean, that's a really strong first impression, is it not?
Absolutely. It blows my mind.
I mean, absolutely wild. And I mean, you're debuting as the WWF is growing hotter and hotter. And at the time, wrestlers were paid on the houses, and there are no guaranteed contracts, as I mentioned. So, I mean, when you see a crowd like that, your first night in, it's got to be like, holy shit, I made the right move.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I said.
I mean, you know, obviously you'd had a lot of experience. You'd been in the ring with fucking Muhammad Ali at this point,
Yeah.
but any nerves?
No, no, not at all.
You were feeling good about the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Because nobody had anything like I had.
And like that confidence, boys and girls that are listening to this, like that's why Jake was really successful. When you believe that in yourself, other people start to look at you in that way too, right?
Absolutely, man. You got to believe.
Now, I named a lot of names there, and you said that right out of the gate, it was like a very unwelcome feeling. Anybody jump off the page there as far as like who maybe was the most like not so warm and fuzzy?
Piper was hard to get to know.
Okay.
He was very hard to get to know. But once I did meet Piper and really talk to him, we were good. But at first, he was very standoffish.
It's interesting too because you had been around Piper in Mid-Atlantic and had the opportunity to work with him down there. So you'd think he'd be like, "Oh yeah, this guy good." But then at the same time, it's like Piper's known for his promo. He's not like a super big body guy, and now this super interesting guy who's got a great promo just came in the door. Like, maybe don't like the fact that he's there right away.
Absolutely.
Well, you're pinning Scott McGee here in your debut, and you're going to go on to work with Scott a shitload of times here in the coming months on the way to your feud with Steamboat. What did you think of Scott, and did he do a good job for you as far as helping display the character?
Scott was a little tough, man. He did the job, but it could have been done better.
Okay, what was he lacking?
Just willingness.
Mm.
He didn't know how to follow very well. He never complained or anything like that, but I had to work at it, and I shouldn't have to.
Now I know that back in the day, it was always the thought that like, this dude's sandbagging me or this guy's trying to make me look bad in the ring. And again, you're the new guy in town
Yeah,
and there's a lot of jealousy. Was there ever a thought like Scott's fucking with me?
yeah, there was at first.
But then once you got to know him, you're just like, he's just not that great in the ring.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, guys, we've got to take a break, and this time it's to talk about the Perfect Gene. Let me tell you guys, I love the Perfect Gene. They take the guesswork out of buying jeans because you know that you're getting quality every single time that you order from them. If you're like me, you're burning through jeans once every 6 months, maybe. You got to go shopping, and I know that the frustration was always there for me because it's like, if I'm not going to the same site and buying the same fitted jean, which of course there's only so many selections of, I'm not going to be satisfied with the jeans I get in the mail. They're going to come in and they're either going to be too short, they're going to be too loose in the waist, maybe the crotch is going to be a little bit too low, maybe it'll be a little bit too tight. Whatever the issue was, it was starting to piss me off. I couldn't find the right solution. And then Perfect Jean comes into the picture, right? They become a sponsor here on the podcast. They sent me some jeans to try. I'm like, hey, why not? Free jeans. Let's do this thing. Well, guess what? I put on these jeans and I absolutely fell in love. I love the fit. I love the way that they look. And mostly, the biggest thing for me is comfort. I just want to be comfortable in my jeans. That's it. I don't like those stiff, scratchy, uncomfortable jeans. I need something that feels like you're walking around wearing a pair of sweatpants, basically, but they're jeans. That's exactly what I got here with the Perfect Jean. What's cool too is that these jeans are so high quality, you can kind of wear them for any occasion. You're going out on a date, put on the Perfect Jean. How about like a button-up shirt and some Perfect jeans? You'll look great. By the way, I get tons of compliments on these jeans from male and female because like the quality is noticeable. They're really nice, high quality jeans. Or you can just wear them out to hang out with your buddies. You can go golfing with these jeans on. Like these jeans are kind of set for every single occasion, and the comfort is like unheard of for me whenever it comes to jeans. Like yeah, when you're wearing jeans most of the time, you know you're wearing jeans, not with the Perfect Jean. They're just so comfortable. And by the way, like think about it. What do you usually pay for a pair of jeans? $150, $200. I know that some of you guys are out there paying a lot more than that for some high quality jeans. Well, guess what? The Perfect Jean is a great value at just $79.99. That's it. You can't get jeans this high quality for that price. Period. End of story. Right now, I want to show you guys my latest pair of the Perfect Jean. I just got these ones in the mail not too long ago. This was a special order that I personally put in because I've just started buying these jeans. This is my jean brand now. And like you can just see the quality of these jeans even here on my podcast. You can take a look and know that these jeans are high quality. They're so comfortable. I've never worn a pair of jeans like this that makes me as happy as wearing these jeans do. I know that sounds silly, but like the older you get, the more you start to prioritize comfort, and that's where I'm at. Dude, these jeans check every single box. Comfort, quality, and style. You cannot do any better than the Perfect Jean. So it's time to get rid of those jeans that are crushing your nuts or look like you got a saggy diaper butt. Time to upgrade to your big boy pants. Let's do this thing. Life is too short for denim that fights you every step of the way, isn't it? And by the way, this isn't just me giving them an endorsement. Over 400,000, let me say that again, over 400,000 old men, young men, big men, small men, all agree. Over 30,000 men have rated their Perfect Jean 5 stars because you should never have to sacrifice comfort for style. And they're not just made for like skinny guys or guys that like look like supermodels or anything like that. Like they have a size range from 26 to 50-inch waist, lengths up to 38. They're going to give you 5,000 plus ways to find your perfect exact match at the Perfect Jean. Oh, and I should mention, they do more than just jeans. They've also got the den khaki, which are basically the holy grail of pants. They're stretchy, so you can bend and grow with these things. They're comfortable, so you'll forget you're even wearing a pair of work pants. And they're stylish. Even your boss is going to start rethinking his wardrobe. And if you pair them with the Perfect Jean polos, you've got a head-to-toe look that nails professionalism without sacrificing the comfort. Or how about their ultra soft organic cotton tees that have the perfect amount of stretch to provide the perfect fit? And everyday comfort shorts that keep you looking and feeling fresh in the heat. By the way, it's been crazy hot around here recently, and the shirts and the shorts, everything that they provide for you feels really breathable. So like if you're trying to fight the weather like I have been the past couple days, man, their clothing is the solution for you. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectjean.nyc or Google The Perfect Jean and use our code SNAKE15 for 15% off. Again, that's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with our promo code SNAKE15. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please do us a big favor. Let them know that it's us that sent you over there. It's going to help us out, and it's going to help you out. That 15% off with our code SNAKE15. Fuck your khakis. Get out there. Go get the Perfect Jean. You guys are going to love them just like I do. Well, after your debut, you'll go to Brantford, Ontario, and you'll be interviewed on Ventura's show, The Body Shop. And this is where the WWF audience is first introduced to Damien. Before we talk about Damien, I wanted to ask you, Ventura does a great job of putting you over here as being a really dangerous new competitor. And in both this interview and another one 6 years later in WCW, he'll compare you to himself, which if you know Jesse Ventura, that's pretty high compliment. So Jake, I've heard a lot of mixed things about Jesse over the years. What can you tell us about your experiences around the guy?
Takes care of Jesse. Jesse's there to take care of Jesse, but he does a good job, man.
I mean, there's no denying the charisma, and you know what he brought to color commentary. So he was fun, and yeah, like again, for him to put you over, especially compare you to himself, he's got a high opinion of himself. So if that means he's got a high opinion of you.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that you had previously pitched the idea of carrying a snake to Bill Watts, who foolishly dismissed the whole thing.
Yeah.
When Vince would bring it to you, it has to feel pretty surreal. I mean, all that being said, I know you don't like snakes. So,
Yeah.
what was the idea of carrying one around daunting for you at all?
It was a pain in the ass, man. It was a struggle every day, every day. I mean, there's nothing like waking up at, say 6 a.m. You've got 4 hours sleep. And the first thing you got to do is you got to put the snake up. It's not what you want to be doing.
No.
That's the first thing I had to do every morning is put the snake away, bag him, put him in the trunk, shut the trunk, get it all set, wrap him up with blankets. Oh, yeah, it's a blast.
That sounds miserable. And all that aside, it's like you don't like and are, to my understanding, you were fearful of snakes, right?
Afraid of them.
So,
but every morning, first thing when my eyes opened, I knew what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the bathroom and get the damn snake out. And I'd go in there, and sometimes he'd be cool, but sometimes he'd be wrapped around the toilet or wrapped around the sink. He'd break the shower curtain off. That was always, he did that every time. Every time. Break the shower curtain. Bring it down. I made a few of those.
Their ability to wrap around stuff, from what I understand, they can tear a fucking toilet off the floor, can't they?
Oh yeah, they can. I had that done.
Holy shit.
Water went everywhere.
Does WWE pay for that?
No, Jake the Snake did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd be about over it with this damn snake.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, man.
Now, Damien is a python, of course, but I'm curious, was there ever any thought of giving you a different kind of snake to lug around? Why a python?
Well, a python has a size, and it's not venomous,
Mm.
Later on, of course, we went to the king cobra.
Oh, yeah.
It was my favorite snake of all time.
Light,
only weighed about 14 pounds. I could carry him in a Halliburton, a small suitcase. I did that for a while. I'd carry him in that and stick him in the overhead. I was doing snakes on a plane before I ever thought about doing a movie.
There's the inspiration for the movie, folks, for you movie buffs out there. Jake, as a side note, one of the greatest pictures I think I've ever seen in pro wrestling is the picture of the Cobra sitting up and you laughing, looking at him. It is just some of the coldest shit I have ever seen anywhere. That moment, you can't plan for something like that. It just happens, right?
That was my favorite shot too, man. No, that Cobra, he would work with you, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he would run the rope side to side if I did
it. He would lean?
He would go sideways.
Amazing.
Run the ropes with you. Then if you stop, he would stop. If you went towards him, he'd come towards you. If you backed up, he'd come after you. I used to back up and jump out of the ring, then put my hand on the bottom rope, and then he would strike at my hand. I'd move my hand, and he'd hit the rope. Fun.
Somebody smartened this snake up.
Oh man, he could work.
The new creative, of course, is, as you kind of touched on there, it leads to the unfortunate task of carrying the snake from town to town. But, from what I've heard, Mike Chioda, a referee for many, many years there, has said that the ring crew was largely responsible for making sure the animals made it from town to town. Did they ever help you out with Damien?
Fuck no. Hell no, man.
They didn't want the responsibility?
Nope.
Those bastards.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, do you know why that, they just didn't want to deal with it, or were you on a specific feeding schedule, or how did that go?
Man, I wasn't on no damn schedule, feeding schedule, nothing like that. But it was never mentioned that they would carry the snake. It was on me.
You from the very start.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, I do want to ask, after the body shop, you're going to do a squash match against Nelson Velo, I think is how you say the name. And it's the first time you ever put Damien on a fallen opponent. So it makes me wonder, like, here you're handling the snake, but now other people are having to interact with it. Did you go through any training for, like, safety purposes?
No.
They just gave you a snake.
I just gave me the snakes and put it on people.
So, like, this trial and error, like, you're just learning on the fly, like, oh, I have to unwrap this snake to get him off this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, dude. That could have led to, with the wrong dude, like, if you were a super irresponsible guy, that could have led to, like, catastrophe.
Oh, yeah, it did at times.
Like you in Mexico when it wrapped itself around you.
Yeah. Indianapolis when it wrapped around my neck and knocked me out.
Dude, terrified. Did it ever wrap around one of your, like, job guys that you were working with?
No, but it did bite the referee one time.
Which ref?
Oh my God, you would ask me his name. What the hell?
Fonzie?
No. Shit, I can't remember his name, brother.
That's okay.
He was a West Coast referee.
Oh, a West Coast referee. That's not Tim White, is it?
No.
Well, it doesn't matter. How bad was the bite?
Pretty bad because he bit him right here in the face.
Oh, shit.
So he had 2 fang marks underneath one cheek and a fang mark in his forehead. But yeah, it went after his eyeball.
Kind of a badass scar afterwards, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
It looked pretty cool if he was a worker.
Yeah, it would. Freaked him out.
It would freak anybody out. A few days later, you're going to work with Lanny Poffo, who, of course, is the brother of Macho Man Randy Savage. Poffo, very capable worker, and is most remembered for his role as the Genius. Kind of a weird question here, Jake, but I think it's worth asking. You know, you're the new kid in town here, and this is the brother of a really big star in this territory. And, Randy, of course, has developed a reputation for being very protective. Does it change anything about how you approach a match with a guy like Lanny?
Yeah, it did.
How would you adjust yourself?
I just backed off a little bit.
Okay, not quite so snug.
Yeah. And, I give him a little bit more.
Okay.
But if it's the match I'm thinking about, was it Madison Square Garden?
It doesn't say, but actually I think it was based on the research.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the match that he hurt me.
I think I've heard this, but remind our listeners, what happened there?
Well, he told me he wanted to do this move. I'm like, okay, fine. What do I do? So he told me, go outside the ring, start to get up, be bent over. And he jumped up on the rope, but he slipped and fell and drove a knee into my kidney.
Holy shit.
From the top rope.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he fucking hurt like hell, man. After I recovered, I gave him some hip tosses on the concrete.
That's boy, it's decent payback, but holy shit, man, what were the repercussions of taking a knee to the kidneys?
Oh, brother, I pissed blood for a couple of days.
I'll bet.
It hurt.
Holy shit.
Those hip tosses on that concrete weren't very much fun either.
Let's hope you weren't the only one pissing blood. A little receipt for Lanny there.
Yeah.
As a performer, what did you think about Lanny? And what did you think about his promo and very unique voice?
He was unique.
That's a great word.
That's what I'm going to say. Believe it.
I'll buy it.
Capable in the ring, but that's as far as it goes.
Nowhere near as charismatic or skilled as his brother.
No, not even on the same page.
Now, Jake, before we move off of Lanny, because we likely won't talk about him all that much here on the show, there's a rumor that behind the scenes he had a pretty unique party trick. Any truth to that rumor?
Yes, it's true.
Have you? I'm scared to ask. Have you witnessed this?
I seen him do it.
All right, we have to talk about this. Is he just like in the locker room doing this to himself?
No, no, no. You have to get him into the mood, you know.
Oh, okay.
You know. Then we bet him a 6-pack of beer. He couldn't do it.
And here in that 6-pack.
Yeah, he bent over and swallowed it.
Wow. All right. Not a lot of guys capable of that. So good for Lanny. So you're still inside your first 2 weeks with the WWF, and you've got Jose Luis Rivera in the Spectrum in Philadelphia on March 7th for an opening match in front of a whopping 19,000 fans. Now, I know that you were really well traveled by this point, but you had worked mostly in the South. Was this your first time in Philly?
Yes.
All right. Now, I mean, definitely a wrestling city. And I've heard that working in front of a Philly crowd is a little different. Can you talk to us a little bit about working there?
Philly fans are real smart. You know, they're keen, and if you don't have your shit together and go out there and give them what they want, they will brutalize you.
Mm.
They are hard on you. They expect a high level of performance, and if you don't give them that high level of performance, they boo the shit out of you.
Now, at this stage, like I said, you've been working in the South mostly. Did it seem like the crowd was familiar with you?
Yes.
And I've also heard that they tend to like heels. So are you getting a babyface reaction in Philly?
A little bit.
Okay. Man, a hell of a crowd, and yeah, hell of a wrestling city. And as I mentioned here, your opening match with Jose, and it's in front of this big red hot crowd. What's it like being responsible for setting the tone in an opening match like that?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it very easy. Very easy.
Is there some trick to really getting them with you, or what?
Yeah, just go out there and take control, man. Show them a little something.
Now, being that you're roughly a decade into your career at this point, you had no issues with being opening match.
No, not at all.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of guys, there's always that term out there, curtain jerker. It's like kind of this just the let me up match, but that wasn't your impression or thought on it.
No, that didn't bother me at all, man.
Okay. Well, at this stage of your time in the WWF, are you leaving as soon as your part in the show is done, or are you hanging around to kind of, keep up appearance a little bit?
I hang out.
At what point do you get when do you get to the point where you're just like, fuck this, I'm leaving when my match is done?
After a year or so.
Okay, once you kind of become accustomed, you just want to make sure that they know you're a team player, right?
Absolutely. You want to show them that you're interested, that you're a part of it. You're not just there to do the job and get the fuck out of there.
Well, you've got Rivera again the next night in Boston, and it's a sellout of more than 16,000 for a match that will air on Primetime Wrestling. Let's check out the final minutes of what would be your debut match on TV with the WWF. Jake, it looks like you got him in a headlock. Ooh, there he goes. He flings you across the ring. You're back up on your feet and get knocked down right away with a clothesline. Oh, and you're clutching the back of the head. Out of the ring you tumble. Oh no. Back in. And he is firing off on you with some shots. Send you off on the ropes. Back body drop. And there you go. You slither out of the ring this time. Boy, he's giving chase, coming around the ring after you. Oh boy, you're waiting for him. Oh, big knee to the face as he steps through the ropes. And you're telling the crowd, now you're going to see something. Here we go. The first DDT ever on WWF TV. You drop him. Nice reaction from the crowd. You're soaking it in. You turn Jose over. And you got him with the cocky cover. Oh, and now you're slithering over him to go get that bag. The word slither was used a lot during this match by Gorilla Monsoon. So they were really trying to get that over. The referee's trying to stop you from getting that snake out. Now you're looking around at the crowd. They like that you're upset. You really want to get that snake out, but he's giving you the business. raises your hand in victory, but you're pissed. You want to bring Damien out. Yep. You're picking up the bag. You are not a happy camper, despite your victory here on TV. Slide out of the ring. Grabbing the bag, and you are headed off to the back, victorious, but a little dejected with no Damien coming out. All right, so your TV debut there, Jake, and what really stuck out for me is no snake at the end. Any chance you remember why it would be teased but not used?
I don't remember.
As you were handling that bag, it looked like there was nothing. It looked like there was not a snake in it. It didn't seem like it was as heavy as usual. So I don't know. Maybe the snake didn't make it to the town.
It made it to the town.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It just really stuck out because it's like, hey, we're trying to get this whole thing over. Maybe Jose didn't want it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe that was what it was.
Well, you worked with Rivera an awful lot during this time, and he's kind of in an awkward spot here because he's responsible for helping to make the new guy look good during what was a really competitive time in the business. I mean, anytime a new guy comes on the scene, he's taking TV time away from somebody who's already there. So generally, it's not a very warm welcome. Was Jose cooperative and helpful during this transition?
It's fine, man. He'd do anything I wanted.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Man, he'd been with the company here for a few years and he would continue to be with the company. But yeah, on paper, it's like, hey, you wouldn't want to make this guy look good in theory, right?
Yeah, in theory, yeah.
Well, good that he did. This event in Boston, it would also mark the first time that you were on a show with Hogan. And coming in the door, are you immediately aware that you need to get on the same card as Hulk to make more money, or was that something you learned a few weeks in?
I learned that a few weeks in.
Okay, so like after getting on the card with them and you see your payoff, you're like, okay, that's the way.
Yeah, I've seen the payoffs, how different they were. And you know what's so amazing about it is that I'd be on sellout crowds. You could be in the same town and sell out the same number as Hogan did when he was there, but your money would still be short.
What in the world?
I have no idea why, but that's what they would do.
Now, it's, back in the day, I know that it was guys were really protective about their payoff as well, and a lot of guys weren't talking. Did you guys know what Hogan was making on these shows?
No.
But had a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot fucking more than we were.
Which has got to be frustrating for anybody. Like at this stage, I'm sure you're happy and, okay, more exposure here in this new company. But down the road, it'd be like, hey, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it does eat away at you.
We'd always hear that Hogan got his own dressing room, wasn't necessarily always viewed as one of the boys because of his kind of unique position. Did you interact much with him during these early days?
No, I didn't.
Did you view him as a guy who was approachable at all?
Yeah, he seemed approachable, but I just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the guys coming into the territory, they'd want to kind of make good with the headliner, go, do the handshake and talk to him and
most
all
guys
that.
Suck up to him, play that shit. But I just never was the guy that sucked up, man.
It never hurt you not to do it, right?
No, nothing I know of. It probably did, but
I don't know. Like, I feel like as long as you're nice, like, I'm sure you wouldn't like refuse to shake his fucking hand in the buildings or anything,
But I just wasn't gonna, go cater to him and suck up to him and play that silly game,
It's I guess some guys would benefit from it, but also it could probably kind of hurt you a little bit because then the other boys start to look at you like you're a quote unquote mark, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, you're one of the guys who's considered a wrestler's wrestler, and you find yourself on a stage here in the WWF where maybe character is viewed as more valuable than ring work in many cases, which was really evident with Hulk, who's 6'7" and playing a baby face. In any other territory with his size, he'd probably be a heel, right?
Right.
So, I mean, obviously it got over huge, but what did you make of his whole shtick, the kind of routine that Hogan had?
He had a shtick down, man, and he had it down fine tuned. It would be the same thing every damn night.
Yep.
That's just the way it was, and that's what they wanted. And by God, that's what they got.
And it got over. Like, you know, it's hard to argue with the success, right?
Yeah, you can't argue with the success. Of course, if I was going out there every night and DDT in every fucking body, I might get over too.
It's a damn good point. And by the way, it did get you over here. Like, even as a heel, they had to turn you babyface.
Yeah, they did. Sure as fuck did.
You know, I've heard that wrestlers who come from Southern territories say that they had to change the way that they worked in some respects when they came to the WWF. Did you feel like you had to make any adjustments?
Yeah.
What kind of changes?
Just to be more vicious.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't a mental game that you could play. If you went out and played the mental game, they wouldn't get it.
Mm.
And they kind of leave you holding the bag. So you had to be more vicious and more on top of the guy, you know. So that's not a problem. I could do that.
Bigger, like broader gestures and not giving maybe the job guys quite as much as you would in the South, right?
Fucking thing.
You just gobble them up on your shows.
That was hard for me to do.
Right, because that's not the way of Southern wrestling in the least. It's you bounce around as the heel, right?
Yeah, you bounce around for everybody.
Mm-hmm. You know, DiBiase said when he came to the WWF a year later, Vince made it clear that he wanted to see Ted in the gym more often. Was anything like that ever emphasized to you?
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
And shouldn't be, because you're the snake guy, right? So you should have like a slim frame.
In fact, in '89, whenever I had the neck surgery, I bulked up
Mm-hmm.
and gained a lot of size. And when I did, Vince told me, he says, stay out of the fucking gym and lean out. We want you to be Dick Dastardly, you know, conniving, snake, evil.
Yep.
We don't want you muscled up. If I wanted a muscled up guy to carry the snake, I'd have fucking Hogan carry it.
It did look right. Like, it really did, especially with your character. It just made more sense for you to be lean.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the rest of the month, you're going to be working with Scott McGee some more, George Wells, who we'll discuss here in a bit, and SD Jones. Special delivery, not ever going to come up on this podcast, probably ever again. What do you think of him?
I like special delivery, but he wouldn't let me put the snake on him, man.
Really?
No.
Did you bump into a lot of that during your early days?
A few times.
You know, it's and that puts you in a weird spot because, again, you're the new kid in town and you're trying to, you know, probably establish that you're a team player, but then these guys aren't playing ball with you in your gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be frustrating as hell.
It was, man.
Well, as I mentioned a bit ago, the WWF, very competitive. And you even said last episode that you did not get a warm welcome from the locker room there. You know, this is a new territory, though, and a new travel schedule, and probably a lot of new and unfamiliar buildings and whatnot that you have to deal with. So who would you say was the first guy to buddy up with you and give you advice, smarten you up, stuff like that?
Yes, man. I don't think anybody ever did.
Really?
Yeah. I kind of had to make my own way, man.
So, like, as far as figuring out schedules and here's where you enter the building and this is what time, like, all that shit you just had to figure out.
Had to figure it out.
That's pretty fucked up, man.
Or I'd ask the referees.
There you go, because they're not competing with you.
No.
Man, no, not exactly a great orientation for you there.
No, it was tough.
Well, speaking of getting acquainted with the WWF, WrestleMania 2 took place April 7th. The event actually took place in 3 cities, Long Island, Chicago, and Los Angeles. You were less than 45 days into your run, and you're on the Long Island card for an event that set the wrestling world on fire the year prior here, WrestleMania. You're at the Nassau Coliseum in front of 16,000 fans, and the headliner for the show, wow, is Mr. T and Roddy Piper in a boxing match.
Yeah.
All right. Was this the first time you performed on pay-per-view and closed circuit broadcast?
Yes.
Okay, so pretty big moment for you. How would you compare the production at WrestleMania to what you had experienced at big shows in other territories?
Oh my God, it was completely over the top, man. It was unbelievable. It really was. People have no idea how many trucks, how many workers come in there, how many technicians are there. I mean, it's not just 4 or 5 people. We're talking 50 to 100 people. They're there just trying to wire this thing up right.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable, man, how they do it. I mean, there'll be tons of wires on the floor, man, and every one of them means something. Every one of them means something. But as far as production stuff goes, it was crazy over the top. You know, I remember the catering was just unbelievable. You know, you just go in there and look and like, holy crap, this is like eating at the Waldorf Astoria or something, you know? I mean, they had everything in the world there, man.
For frame of reference, how would you compare it to Bill Watts catering?
Oh, fuck you. Bill Watts was a fucking ham sandwich from across the street at a deli.
I'm impressed he even had that. I was just picturing like water or something.
He'd send somebody to get it every now and then.
Good Lord. And also for frame of reference, you're saying there's like 100 production people running around behind the scenes. Yeah. With Bill Watts, I'd venture to guess maybe 10.
Oh, no. 2 or 3.
That's it.
That's it.
For the production on like a major show.
Yeah.
Wild, dude. What else is wild is that Mr. T is there. Joan Rivers is a guest ring announcer. Joe Frazier was in Mr. T's corner. A lot of gaga here. Jake, were you a big A-Team fan back in the day?
No.
Not a big A-Team fan.
No.
So safe to assume that you were under-impressed with Mr. T.
Under-impressed with Mr. T. I was impressed with Joan Rivers, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I thought she was cool.
So you get some decent amount of interaction with her?
Well, I tried, and when I did, she kind of blew me off.
Oh.
So I came out of the ring after I beat Wells and turned the corner, and she was right there with her little puppy in her arms.
Mm-hmm.
And I slung the snake over by her, like, now what do you think, honey? And she screamed and yelled for security, and the security went, fuck that, man. Fuck that. I stepped back. 2 big 400-pound motherfuckers. They didn't no part of me in that snake.
Man, all right. Sometimes not too bad to carry a snake, huh?
No, I got in trouble for that.
Yeah, how would Vince react to you terrorizing one of the stars he brought in?
Ass.
I'll bet. Man, that is hilarious. And, you know, Mr. T, not too impressed, but at the time, he was a really big star. And 28 years later, you're going to be inducted into the same WWE Hall of Fame class as him. So some weird interconnectivity. Have you, like, any interactions with Mr. T, or is it just like, hey, what's up, and that's it?
I've had some interaction with him, and he was very good to my children and my grandchildren. And, I thank him for that. I have no problem with the guy. You know, he always stepped up and seemed to do his job and didn't seem to be an asshole about it either, you know. Because if he had a, Piper would have said so.
And, you know, hard to dislike a dude who's bringing more eyeballs. And he at the time, like, yeah, big pop culture guy.
Doing the job.
Yes.
You know, and it's our world.
And he's coming in doing his very best. And he tried his best in this boxing match with Piper. What did you think of the whole thing?
It's television, bro. That's all I'll say.
You know, maybe not a 5-star affair, but, you know, again, it's, man, whenever you see the posters or the pictures or whatever from the event, it's those two, and it gets people saying, like, boy, I wonder what happened there.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Well, Jake, it may not have been the main event at Mania, but it's the main event here on our show. You take on George Wells in your debut at WrestleMania, and we've got the final moments right now. Let's have a look.
All right. Well, you slid back into the ring here as we pick up the action, and then you catch poor George Wells with that knee lift. That was kind of a cool thing that you did in across matches. You slide into the ring as the guy's coming in. You kind of give him a cheap shot with that knee lift. It's good stuff. Now you've got George hooked. DDT. Boy, George took it really nicely. And there's the 3 count. And again, here you go, slithering over to the bag. I got a feeling Damien's going to make an appearance this time at WrestleMania. There we go. Undoing the string. You're getting the audience hyped about it. And there he is. Damien, the ref, doing a nice job selling it too. George is still selling that DDT beautifully. And here you go. You're wrapping the snake around his neck. Oh no, through his crotch. Back up around him. George is struggling. Boy, he's selling it great. And you're kind of just sitting there beside him, taunting him, making sure Damien stays wrapped. He's flailing. It looks like you might be covering him here a little bit while he gets set. There we go. He's spitting something up. What a visual that is.
All right, George Wells spitting something up there. Jake, what do you remember about it?
He did a hell of a job, man.
Really put it over, didn't he?
Really put the DDT over and really put the snake over, man. 100% cooperative. George was a good cat, man. And the foaming of the mouth, Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah.
All right, popped a couple tablets in, and boy, you got a hell of a visual at the end.
Yep.
Man, it was seriously good on George. Like, again, new guy in town, very competitive, and he's not just letting you pin him, not just letting you put the snake on him. He's enhancing it by like spitting up some shit.
Yeah, he got it over.
Damn sure did. And overall, Jake, your first WrestleMania, did it live up to what you expected after the huge spectacle the year prior?
Oh yeah.
You knew right away, like, okay, this is the pinnacle of professional wrestling.
Big time, man.
All right, guys, we have got to hit the timeout button so that we can talk about a sponsor that I know all of the men listening to this podcast love. Of course, I am talking about Blue Chew. Man, let me tell you, Blue Chew is not just a tablet. This is a straight up cheat code for your crotch. You want to get stronger, harder, longer lasting erections? Brother, this is it. It's like somebody gave your wiener a pep talk down there because your guy is ready to go. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. So look, don't lie about it. We've all been there, guys. You're ready to go. Your partner's ready to go. You look down and your little pal there is just staring at the carpet. Like, what are you doing, man? Come on, dude. Give me a break. Get up here. Let's go. We got work to do. And it won't listen. We've all been there. Well, Blue Chew is the solution. We're going to get that thing so hard you could go hunting with it. You are going to love Blue Chew just like I do. And let me say, your partner is going to love it too. This isn't just about performance. This is about a legacy, or third legacy, if you will. Give her group chat something to talk about, man. We all know that those girls are in their group chats and everything that happens is being discussed, whether you like it or not. Why don't you give them something good to talk about? Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little bit of Blue Chew. Discover your options at bluechew.com. And look, we've got a special deal for our listeners. We're giving out boners for free, man. As always, you can get your first month of Blue Chew free when you use our promo code SNAKE. That's SNAKE, SNAKE. Pretty appropriate for Blue Chew, if you ask me. All you got to do is use that promo code at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Free boners sent straight to your house. I mean, come on, man. You got to at least give this thing a try. It's free. If you haven't tried it, you have no idea what you're missing out on. This could seriously be the best sex you have ever had in your entire life, and you're just letting it breeze right past you. Why? Because you don't want to pay the $5 shipping? Give me a break. Come on, give this a shot. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Let them know that we sent you. Head over to bluechew.com for details and safety information. Whenever you check out, make sure that you use our promo code SNAKE, and that's it, just $5 shipping. And before we go, of course, I want to give a big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the Snake Pit. Post WrestleMania 2, Jake, you worked the house show loop with Scott McGee and SD Jones. And in mid-April, you take on McGee in MSG in front of 15,000 people for television tapings. Matches aired on Primetime Wrestling the following week, and were also available on the MSG network. During this early part of your time with the company, Jake, they've got you doing a lot of crawling around the ring, like literally crawling and crawling away from opponents, slithering out of the ring to take a powder, and just generally being a snake. What do you remember about being given this directive?
That wasn't given to me. I just did that on my own.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So what made it occur to you to begin behaving like, because you'd been the Jake the Snake since the early 80s. What made you decide, like, okay, now I'm going to start acting like it now that I'm here in New York?
I'll give it a little bit more, see what happened.
It fit well with the presentation up there because it's like they are like that very overt cartoonish product. So like if you're going to be the snake, you're the damn snake out there.
That's it. You got one in the bag, you might as well be one too.
It doesn't last very long. I've noticed, like, yeah, you did this stuff for a while and then kind of pulled away from it. Why do you think you pulled out from that creative choice?
I don't like doing the same thing all the time.
Okay.
I never have liked that. So I did it for a short period of time, but then as my opponents got better, I didn't have time to play around. I had to be more serious.
Well, your opponents are damn sure about to get better. Whenever you're leaving at MSG here, obviously you're going to continue to do like a little bit of enhancement talent work so that they can establish your character. But then you're moving on, and it's going to be one of your more memorable feuds. It's something we talked about here on the show. It's episode 22, The Dragon and the Snake.
Yeah.
On May 1st, 86, you're paired with Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah.
Man, what a great rivalry the two of you had. And he's just a couple years away from becoming the NWA World Champion. And even at this point, he's considered one of the best workers in the world.
Yeah.
When we talked about him before, you called Steamboat the best baby face you had ever seen. You still feel that way about Ricky?
Oh, yeah.
Can you remind our audience what, in your estimation, made Steamboat such a standout worker and believable babyface?
The art of selling.
Mm.
He can sell better than just about anybody. He's right there with Ricky Morton as far as selling goes.
What do you think it was about him and his sound? Like, what sets guys apart? Is it just like the engagement with the audience, or what is it?
It's just that he had all the pieces, man. And he put them together really well. He looked great. He was always tanned, naturally. But his body was in physical condition, and he could go. He could go as long as you needed him to. And he was just a really solid performer.
When we talked about 1986 before, you had talked about how you come into this locker room and you want to talk about a competitive period in wrestling. It's competitive, but now you're on an even bigger stage. I think guys are even more insecure about their spots and their places on the card. And so, like, you're coming into like a pretty tumultuous situation. Not a lot of people are like gravitating toward you right away.
No, I didn't have a lot of friends in that locker room. Everybody was kind of waiting to see whose spot I took.
Whose spot did you take? Do you remember?
I didn't take anybody's spot. They created a new one.
That's it. And like, look, there's only so much TV time. So like something's got to give. And it's like, hey, if you want your TV time, you go out there, they give it to you, get yourself over, and you stay on TV. It's simple as that.
Absolutely.
But so did Steamboat, I know that you had a history with him and became buddies with him, even traveled with him a little bit in Mid-Atlantic. Was he a little bit more of a warm welcome for you?
Yeah, he was. Ricky was a class act.
Well, the feud kicked off in a huge way there on May 1st, 86 in Providence, Rhode Island on Saturday night's main event. It took place in front of over 10,000 fans, and the show earned a 9.3 rating with millions of people watching the program from across the United States. Up to this point in your career, You had been all over the country. You'd worked in front of varying size crowds, but this will be your first time in front of such a large television audience, and it's your
Right.
first appearance on NBC.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, this is like the very first time that a mainstream audience is really introduced to your character. So, I mean, to say this is a big show would be a huge understatement. Were you aware how many millions of people are watching this?
Didn't have a clue.
Really?
Did not have a clue.
So there's no like directive from anybody like, hey, the world is watching. You better go out there and put on a show.
No.
Wow.
Anytime NBC was around, you had your gear on tight, man. You know, you were ready to go.
And I mean, you know, I think a lot of fans might hear this and say, like, well, you guys are on TV all the time. It's like not on this level. This is
No,
a
it's
whole other animal.
different monkey we're playing with now, man. This one, man, has all the bells and whistles, and you're doing mainstream, not just wrestling fans.
And if your time on TV does not go well out there, not only there's a lot at stake, not just from the perspective of how you're viewed by the audience, but maybe more importantly, how you're viewed by the office, right?
Absolutely. How you're viewed by Dick Ebersol.
That's the big one too.
Yeah. I had a interesting conversation with him before the show started. So,
Lay it on us.
well, I got there early and sat out in the parking lot and smoked me a doobie. And I went inside and I was just kind of, looking around, seeing all this shit, man, because it was my first time to be on this NBC thing, and I could not believe the number of trucks they had there. Full of, cables and TV equipment and lighting and all this stuff, man. And they just kept bringing more and more in, man, and laying miles and miles of cable. And I was sitting there just chilling out, and Jesse Ventura, well, before Jesse came to me, this dude comes over to me and says, here's your script for tonight. And that pissed me off. I'd never been given a script, ever.
Hell no.
And I started thumbing through it, and they had me doing some corny shit, really hokey bullshit. I can't remember exactly what it was, but man, it was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not doing any of this crap. So I yelled at the guy and told him to come back. So when he came back, I said, hey, take this and give this to NBC and tell them to shove it up their ass. Any of this bullshit. And I fucking slung it at him. Well, he caught it and he turned and walked away. So an hour or so later is when Jesse comes to me. And I'm talking to Jesse, and he's telling me about, yeah, man, the number of people that are going to be seeing you tonight, man, is going to blow your mind, yada, yada, yada. What do you think of the setup? This is first class. This is what the real deal is. And I'm like, yeah, man. I said, except for one thing. I said, they fucking brought me a script, man. I told them to shove that shit up their ass. He said, well, you don't have to follow that. That's just a guideline just to show you how much time you have. You do what you want to do. As well, I told them what to do with it. Don't worry, man. He said, well, who did you tell? And I look around and I see this same guy talking to Vince. I said, that fucking joker talking to Vince. And about that time, they started walking towards us, Vince and Dick. I didn't know Dick. I just thought he was a runner.
Oh, no.
And they come over, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I just got fired. I'm expecting Vince to say, you're fired. And he says, so I understand you've already met. And I'm like, yes, sir, we have. And I didn't want to apologize, he cut me off. And he says, well, I understand you got everything lined up in your mind already. the way it should be, the best way it should be, and that's what we weren't. We weren't the very best. So, just off the top of your head, what would you do in a pre-tape? And I paused for about 3 seconds, and I said, "How about I take a shower with a snake?" And that's what they did.
Yes.
They showed me in the shower with the snake.
And that's the story behind the whole moment.
Yeah, the whole moment of, am I going to be fired or what? But that was the beginning of a long-term relationship with Dick Ebersol. We became fairly tight.
Did you really?
Yes, we did.
You know, that just kind of goes to show it's like he's a guy who's used to people just kind of backing off and doing what he says, and you didn't. So he's like, all of a sudden, you're pretty interesting.
Yeah. I tweaked him a little bit.
And by the way, out of it came like one of your most iconic promos. We see that footage all the time of you in the shower with the snake, and just like, what a cool moment. Did they pop right away when you told them the idea?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man, it's great stuff. And just to kind of paint the picture for the audience, Vince, as we all know, is not a man who is willing to let go of control of anything. But when Dick Ebersol's around, he's providing Vince with this massive mainstream exposure through NBC. So, Vince would kind of acquiesce to Dick relatively often.
Absolutely, man.
But not the snake. He's not taking any shit off this guy.
Oh, I didn't fucking know any better, man.
Well, rumor has it, I know that you and Dick would become buddies, but rumor has it that he was the one who said that the WWF rings don't look good on TV because they have too much spring in them, which prompted Vince to then reinforce those rings and make them super stiff.
Make them super fucking stiff, man.
So, in theory, Dick Ebersol probably shortened a few careers.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Would you say that once you got to it had already happened? The change was done by the time you arrived in the WWF. Yeah. First time you take a bump in a WWF ring and you feel how stiff it is. What's your first thought?
Oh fuck! Here we go. Yeah, I mean, I've been in some stiff rings before, but the WWF rings were just fucking beyond stiff, man. They were just fucking solid. We used to joke that take a bump on the outside, the concrete's softer.
I mean, and then you see guys like, I think Brett and Owen and Mick Foley and Hunter all do this spot off the big blue cage with like the superplex. I'm like, are you out of your damn minds?
Yeah.
Would you say it changed the way that you worked? Like, were you trying to bump less?
No.
No.
I did, no.
Thinking back on it now as a wise older gentleman, would you tell a young Jake like, hey, maybe don't bump on your back quite so often?
Yeah, I'd have probably said a lot of things to a young Jake.
Would he have listened though, is the real question.
Oh man, don't pick up the fucking shit,
man. If only we could go back.
Yeah, man.
Did it seem like Vince was just letting Ebersol take the damn wheel on pretty much everything when these shows came around, though?
Oh yeah.
Man, I guess you get those opportunities. You've got to take advantage. Now, your first big introduction here on NBC, I mean, it couldn't have possibly left more of a mark. We talked about it. It's that iconic moment with the DDT to Steamboat on the floor. And again, you guys can go and revisit that talk on episode 22, which we titled The Dragon and the Snake. You mentioned previously that using the DDT on the floor is something that you were adamantly against, but Ricky and others insisted, right?
Absolutely, man. I begged Ricky not to do it. I told him it'd kill him.
Would you say that you were concerned about the potential of like losing?
Yeah, I was worried that I was going to kill him.
Yeah.
And I didn't give it the full thing. Thank God.
You eased up on it.
Yeah. As much as I could without making it look shit,
Yeah.
But it still got him.
I got a whole new perspective on what happened to Ricky that night. The first time I took a DDT in the ring here earlier this year, I got it from a guy who was training me. He gave me the DDT, and in my mind, I'm like, well, I turned my head and I flatten out, and then I missed the ring by whatever, an inch. Nope, your head connects.
Oh yeah, it touches.
Yep, like it's not a thump, but it touches, and I'm like, boy, imagine if that was concrete.
If it was concrete, you're going to feel it.
You damn sure would. I mean, when Ricky's pushing for it, people backstage are pushing for it. Is it like you just nearly stepped in shit with Dick Ebersol and we're a little bit worried about your job? At this point, is it just like, hey, look, I'm just going to go with the flow. Okay, you want me to do it? I'll do it.
I just told Ricky, I said, Ricky, you can't do it, man. And he goes, he called me Jackson for some reason. Jackson, I got this. I can get my hands down in front. Don't worry about it. And I said, man, you can't. You don't have time. I promise you, it's going to fuck you up. And he's like, look, he said, I really need you to do this as a favor for me. Because the guy that was the booker at the time, I can't remember his name now.
It wasn't Pat, was it?
No. He came from Charlotte.
From Charlotte.
Where Ricky had been before. He gave Ricky his first big break. So this guy was wanting Ricky to do that to make that impact,
Mm-hmm.
It made an impact, all right. But I thought it had killed him. I thought he was dead.
The sound of it?
His body was so limp. He was just like trying to hold on to butter, man. It was just, There was nothing. And I rolled him into the ring. And I remember rolling into the ring afterwards, and they sent people down. And one of the guys they sent down was this guy. And if you watch that tape, you'll see me pointing at Ricky and pointing at him and saying, you fucking killed him. This is on you, motherfucker. This is on you.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. Saved my soul.
I know that Rene Goulet climbed in. Was it George something?
Yes, George. George, bada fucking bing, George. I can't remember.
We may have discussed it on that previous episode. If I don't know that for sure though, but go back and listen to it, folks, for full perspective on this. One of the things that really struck me was after you hit him with the DDT, he's limp. Like you said, you can see it on the footage. He's not helping you up. But you kind of shrugged up on him and got him back into the ring. Like you essentially picked up a grown man dead weight and put him into the ring.
It was not easy.
Incredible strength. I was blown away watching it back.
Hey, man.
You must have had some adrenaline going.
I had a rush going on because I thought he was fucked up, man.
Yeah. I mean, at any point, again, you're brand new to this company. You're kind of starting to tell people off in the ring. You would bumped into Dick Ebersol a little bit in the wrong way back there. Are you concerned? I mean, you drop Ricky Steamboat with this DDT, or you're like, that's got to be it. Like, I have to have lost my job today.
No, I didn't, because I knew that it wasn't on me.
Okay.
They called for it. Ricky called for it. They begged for it. And I told them what would happen. And I was right.
You sure were. Jake, we'll move off of it here in a second, but I do have a little hypothetical for you about this situation. I like doing these with you because I never know what you're going to say. I know you love Steamboat and you wouldn't hurt him that badly for the world. But that being said, this moment did a lot to help enhance your character over in the WWF.
Oh, yeah.
If you could go back and have full control over redoing the situation, what would you do to make sure you still got over just as strongly?
I'd DDT him on a chair in the ring.
Ah.
It would probably cut him, but it wouldn't hurt him.
Gotcha.
The chair would give.
Which, if I remember right, you had just busted open Terry Taylor earlier this same year with the same move, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's a simple solution. He probably would have gotten color the hard way, but that'll get over.
It'd be a whole lot easier on you.
Yeah, I doubt if he would have had his head swell up.
Yeah, you got that right.
Steamboat would take 2 weeks off in order to recover from the accident with DDT, but the feud resumed May 12th, 86 in Stamford, Connecticut. This is really your first match with Steamboat in the WWF, and certainly your first after the concussion. Would you say that you approached the match differently following his injury?
No.
It just worked the same way?
No. We went out there and went for it, man. We did about 20, 25 minutes and just did it.
You know, and that's kind of been the norm for you in your career. It's like these, I would say at least 15-minute matches was really what you were doing, especially at the big shows. And one of the things that struck me here as we are doing research is that a lot of your matches with Steamboat, this one actually was longer, like you said, 15, 20, something like that, 25 minutes. But moving forward, you guys would work like 7-8 minutes. I imagine it has to do with time restrictions. How much does that change you and your approach when you've got to constrict your matches?
Shit out of you, man.
Yeah.
You don't have time to develop the story properly. You have to rush into it. I'm not a big favor of that, man. I always needed 15 to 25 minutes to where I felt good about it. Now, maybe that's all in my head. I don't know. But I always felt like I needed that.
Just out of curiosity, Jake, in a 15, 20-minute match, you're the heel, so obviously you're going to be getting heat for the majority of the match. How many hope spots do you give a guy?
Just 3 or 4.
Okay, just a few to bring up the crowd and then right back down.
Yeah.
In a lot of matches, Steamboat attacked you after the finish and had to be pulled back by the baby faces. And as your rivalry continues into the summer, on June 27th in Boston Garden, in front of over 14,000 fans, you're going to win by countout. But after the match, Steamboat is going to attack you, and you're going to get some color, which is kind of a rarity during this time.
Yeah.
And it's a really different version of Ricky than we had been seeing. He was a very clean-cut baby face. How important to the feud was it for Steamboat to escalate in violence like this?
I think it was important, man, at the time. They were trying to make Ricky look tough, to be, to show more aggressiveness in him, because he's such a nice guy and such a smooth performer. He doesn't come across like, some animal, but they wanted the animal to come out in him.
Especially with you on the other side, because they've painted this really great picture of you. Like, this is a violent man that Ricky's stepping into the ring with.
Yeah.
If it was up to you, how often would color be allowed in wrestling? Is once a show too much?
I don't think so.
It's just got to be just once, though. Like, more than once, you kind of kill it, right?
Yeah.
Well, the feud continues to the big event in Toronto, Ontario. And get this, Jake, it's the biggest crowd, I assume, that you have worked in front of in your whole career. 64,000 fans are there. And reportedly, it grossed over $1 million Canadian dollars. This is about 20,000 more fans than the WWE drew for WrestleMania 2 earlier in 1986. So, pretty incredible crowd. And we've actually got, this will be our only clip this week. We've got your entrance for it and then the finish. Here we go.
Following contest is a snake pit match. No disqualification. Anything and everything goes. One fall will win this contest. In the ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia, weighing 249 pounds, Jake the Snake Roberts. And his opponent.
Flash ahead.
Will he be able to take the same amount of punishment if the Dragon happens to be able to come back on him and be able to retaliate?
I don't think so, I do not think so.
What a tremendous clothesline.
Give him that DDT, baby, and let's get on to the next match.
The Dragon down, but not out of this one by a long shot. Referee looking at the busted open forehead of the Dragon. I don't know what for. He can't stop this match because of excessive bleeding. I know that. Look out. He went for the DDT, but the Dragon caught him before he could apply it. But the Snake definitely still in control of this one. A Dragon unlashes. Oh, look out. Reverse atomic drop. Referee just get out of the way, get in the corner. He went for the, no, he attempted maybe a DDT, but an inverted backbreaker instead.
You know this Jake the Snake Roberts. 1, 2, 3. He's just an awesome man.
Look at this, looking for a nonchalant cover. The Dragon hooks his shoulders from behind. They're down there. It's ready to go there.
How did that happen?
Unbelievable.
All right, Jake. There it was. 64,000 fans, and boy, were they engaged during that match, huh?
Well, they were with it, man.
It was awesome. Now, Jake, do you have any idea why I included your entrance on there?
I don't know.
Well, one of the things that really struck me was that you were wearing a sequined robe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was, man.
What?
I was going to, but I didn't know. Yeah, I found that somewhere. I don't know where the hell I found it.
Why do you think it didn't stick?
Just wasn't me.
I first saw that clip maybe like a year ago, and I was like, what the fuck is he wearing? And then you step up on the rope, and I can see it's like, I was like, oh, it's like a jacket. And then I see it's like down past like your calves. And I was like, oh my God. So do you know if you ever wore that thing again?
I don't remember.
Just broke it out for the one big show.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, I mean, this big crowd, I mean, life has really changed for you in a very short period of time. I mean, Bill Watts, he was drawing big crowds, but this is a whole other level. I know I know that you were feeling like you had made, the big leagues at this point, but how are you adjusting to this new crazy lifestyle that comes with working for the company?
Well, obviously not very well.
Mm.
I was, well, at this time I was doing okay. I wasn't visiting cocaine very often. I had things under control.
Mm.
But a couple of years later, it wouldn't be like this.
It's the combination of increased fame, increased money, increased, fans coming up to you and wanting to be with you, right?
Pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure, man.
And like the road schedule, you and I mentioned it before. This feud with Steamboat is like, at one point you worked 90 straight days.
93 days, man.
I want to ask our listeners to think about doing that, traveling and then working for 90 days, even if you're not taking bumps. It's brutal. And then, okay, now include taking bumps in a stiff ass ring. That is tough.
And twice on Saturdays, twice on Sunday. Yeah.
I do not know how you possibly got through it. But you did, and it's a really iconic rivalry. This will be my last note on it. The feud is going to wind down in September. Of course, in the meantime, you guys are doing, plenty of matches on the house show loop. But really, it's all gonna boil down to Saturday night's main event on September 13th. The show is going to draw a 9.4 rating, so slightly better than the main event. So millions and millions of people are getting exposed to Jake the Snake Roberts. And this time it's at the Richfield Coliseum, and you guys are going to do a snake pit match, just like that's actually what that match was, which is essentially just a no DQ match. Yeah. What did you think? I don't think you were doing no DQ matches elsewhere, were you?
No.
So this is it. Were you guys incorporating weapons or just brawling on the outside?
Brawling. Not much, though.
Okay, so you pretty much kept it, like a normal match, right?
Yeah.
Well, something abnormal happened, and we did talk about it before, but you go to terrorize him with the snake, but he's got an answer for it, Jake. It's the Komodo dragon.
Yeah, he had an answer for me, all right.
Wow. One of these fucking things backstage, it's a monitor, right?
Yeah.
What did you think of having that thing involved?
Are you kidding, man? That's a flesh eater, man. That thing eats meat.
I think in some cases those things literally have eaten humans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they're like, hey, we'll put a rubber band around its mouth. You'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
Man, absolutely wild. What a cool part of your feud, though. Again, guys, revisit it on episode 22 because that's where we really get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah.
But Jake, it's about 4 months that you did this program with Steamboat. It felt like longer. I think it's just because it was such an enjoyable feud, but it felt like it went a long time. But in reality, just 4 months and you guys are out of it. Do you wish it had gone longer? And or did you feel like you guys got everything out of it?
He could have went on forever, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
What, just due to your chemistry?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had so much more to give, man.
You know, just fantasy booking it. I would have loved to have seen it go to WrestleMania. But again, WrestleMania 3 is where he has that iconic match with Randy Savage. I don't know. I think he could have done the same thing with Jake the Snake on that stage.
Absolutely. Or better.
Okay, guys, we're going to hit the pause button on the podcast to talk about a sponsor that is near and dear to my heart. You guys have heard me talk about him here before, and oh boy, do I have an exciting update that I'm going to share with you here today. Of course, I'm talking about Mando. I love Mando. I am always going to use Mando. I don't care if they're sponsoring the show or not. Mando is my new brand. They're incredible, and I want you guys to find out why for yourselves. So look, let me do a little setup here. You ever step outside and feel like you're just instantly drenched in sweat? That's what I went through this weekend. I had 2 wrestling shows, Saturday and Sunday this past weekend, inside of hot buildings. And before I even get to the building, I'm like stepping out of my garage, getting ready to go, and I'm sweating already. Just got out of the shower because, you know, I want to shower before I step into the wrestling ring so I don't stink the place up. I come outside and I'm just immediately sweating. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a tough night. The buildings are hot. I'm, of course, working a match. I am just covered head to toe in sweat. Well, guess what? I did not smell bad in the least. Right in the thick of the action. Doesn't matter. I smelled incredible because I put on my Mando deodorant before I went out there. Seriously, I got to the back and I was like, I'm not going to shower till I get home because I'm just going to sweat more on my way back to my house. So I'm just going to wait this thing out. I did the pit check, gave myself a little whiff, and I was like, I still smell incredible. Okay, off we go. Put my shirt back on and we're off to the races, pal. But that wasn't always the case, okay? And I used to struggle with the heat and humidity, and I'd have to keep a stick of deodorant on me in the summer so I didn't stink up wherever I was going. And I know that a lot of other guys have dealt with the same thing. Well, guess what? I have some great news for you. Mando just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. Introducing Mando Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid Stick. That is double protection. Finally, you get the odor control you love with Mando plus powerful sweat control. Don't wait. You got to go get yours right now. It's at shopmando.com. Experience this double protection of Mando deodorant plus sweat control. That's what I used. That's what I used this weekend. And here I'm going to show you guys the exact stick of deodorant I've been using. I was so fired up when they sent me this one in the mail because you guys have been hearing me put over their bourbon leather scent. It's in a body wash. So I've been using that bourbon leather body wash religiously. It's my favorite body wash I've ever had. And lo and behold, they must have been listening to me over there at Mando because I checked the mail and found this bad boy. That is Mando deodorant plus sweat control in the bourbon leather scent. Dude, to say that I was happy, my wife was like, what are you grinning from ear to ear about? I was like, Mando, they were listening to me. And they hooked me up. And they hooked up my opponent in the ring this weekend. I did not smell in the least despite the hot building and the crazy weather. Man, Mando has hit the nail on the head again. Just one swipe and you're ready to go. This is not your typical deodorant. It's clinical strength. That means 2 times better at controlling sweat than the standard. It controls both sweat and odor for up to 72 hours. And after just 12 hours, underarm sweat has been reduced by 92%. This stuff seriously works, guys. It doesn't mask odor. It prevents it. 100% of study participants experience all-day odor protection. And by the way, it's not loaded up with chemicals. Mando uses only premium ingredients like gentle mandelic acid to keep you fresh and dry. And it tackles both odor and sweat. Mando's new deodorant plus sweat control solid stick gives you double the protection you need. No more worrying about sweat stains or those embarrassing pit rings. Just all-day freshness and dryness. If you're ready to get started, Mando's Starter Pack is the perfect thing for you. It comes with the solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, plus free 2 products that you get to choose from. Got to try out that mini body wash, and the deodorant wipes are super convenient. And by the way, you get free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Just use code SNAKE at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide, plus free shipping. Again, that's shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Use our code SNAKE, and please support our show. Let us know that we sent you guys there. Mando has got you covered. I promise you guys, you are going to love Mando. I honestly wasn't sure right out of the gate. Like most guys, you end up, selecting your brand of deodorant or whatever, and that's your brand, and you stay to it. Nope, Mando has changed my mind. They're going to change your mind too. With deodorant plus sweat control, you can say goodbye to sweat stains and say hello to long-lasting freshness. Coming off this rivalry with Steamboat, you're red hot as a heel, and your gimmick with Damien is super, super over. Are you communicating much with Vince McMahon about his vision for you in his company?
Man, we were so busy, we didn't have time to communicate. We were running so hard, 7 days a week, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. Then if you're doing TV, you work 4 times on TV. So figure it out, man. You didn't have time to pull your underwear up.
So, your relationship with the man who's running the show is essentially probably seeing him in the hallway, some quick niceties, and on the way.
That's it.
Now, we do hear that a lot of guys would get to the building, and if they had some creative that they wanted to pitch or some grievance that they wanted to air, a lot of them would stand in line outside of his office at the building for the opportunity to have a quick chat with him. Was that ever a thing that you would do?
Yeah, I did it a couple of times whenever I had some grievance.
Okay, but never to pitch creative. You were just kind of letting them take the wheel?
No. The direction they put me was good, real good. And all I had to do was follow it. And I didn't see anything they were doing that was wrong. So I was going to keep my mouth shut and keep rolling.
Man, it is really good stuff. And, I think that you're coming in there and you're really kind of proving your stripes right out of the gate with this rivalry with Steamboat. I will say, though, notoriously, Vince kind of looks to the people who are in his inner circle for insight. Did you feel like behind the scenes there was any agent or producer in particular who might be advocating for you?
No.
It was just your work.
In fact, I had some problems with a guy named Jay Strongbow.
Chief Jay Strongbow?
Yes.
You had problems with him?
Yes.
What went wrong with him?
Well, I didn't know it, but he had came to Atlanta or tried to come to Atlanta, and he called to try to come to work for people in Atlanta, and he was given to the booker. Well, the booker was Robert. Gosh, I just forgot his last name.
Was it Fuller?
Yes, Robert Fuller.
Okay.
He thought Robert Fuller was Jake Roberts. Robert Fuller told him, look, we don't need some fat, overweight fucking Italian playing an Indian.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So when I got there, he used to do some devilish shit to me, man.
So think about this, folks. This is before the days of cell phones, internet, anything like that. So he had one experience with a guy that he thought was Jake Roberts, and now he fucking hates Jake the Snake Roberts before you've even actually met him in person.
Right. So he would put me in the worst position to get over. And he would make me do 20 minutes to do it.
Oh. So
I'm having to go out and do 20 minutes with SD Jones, who will not let the snake get put on him. I'm putting spots like that. I'm being put in the popcorn match.
In a what match?
Popcorn match.
Oh, okay.
The match after intermission?
Yes.
That's the popcorn match.
Is it hard to get over in that match?
Yes, it is, because people aren't sitting there watching you. They're still getting back to their seats and stuff.
People are still coming back from the bathroom and literally standing in line to get popcorn.
Yes.
Oh.
So that really screwed me over. And the message going back to the office was, he's not getting over.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So not only did you not have an advocate, you had somebody who had Vince's ear actively trying to bury you.
Yes.
What was the ultimate outcome of this? Did you ever have a talk with Strongbow?
I fucking blew up on him, man. One night we were in the Meadowlands, and if I could have gotten on before intermission, I could have caught a flight home. You know?
Yeah.
And we weren't getting home much. So I went to him at the beginning of the night, got there early, and asked to be put on before intermission. You know, I'm wrestling Joe Blow,
Mm-hmm.
you know, an enhancement match. And he said, well, let me see what I can do. Well, I walked out of the room. But as I walked out of the room, I forgot something. I turned around and walked back in just in time to hear him say, if that motherfucker thinks he's getting on early, he's got another thing fucking coming. I don't forget shit.
Ooh.
After intermission.
Oh.
And I heard that shit. So I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Why do you have it out for me? And he goes, oh, you don't remember, do you? Don't remember what? When you were booking in Atlanta, I called, tried to come in. And then he did the fat Indian bullshit. Fat Italian trying to play an Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that wasn't me, man. And I asked him what year it was. And I told him, that's Robert Fuller, not Jake Roberts. You motherfucker.
What did he say?
Oh, fuck. I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, for the last fucking 6 months, you've been burying my fucking ass.
Holy shit.
So I went to Vince with it.
Did you? Okay, how did that go?
Told him what the fuck was going on. And Vince, well, that explains a lot. As soon as he said that, I'm like, yeah, I bet it does, doesn't it, man?
So when Vince said that, that was how you knew that you'd been getting buried?
Right.
Oh my God. Did you ever like forgive Chief after all that?
Fuck no.
It would be hard to, right?
Fuck yeah, man. He's messing with my livelihood and my life.
Again, you finally made it to the biggest stage in all professional wrestling, and you've got somebody actively behind the scenes trying to fuck you over. That is crazy.
Yeah, man. It was tough, brother.
I can't believe that's a hell of a story, man. So ultimately though, after it all shook out, did you feel like you were getting booked better afterwards?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Due to Chief or due to the conversation with Vince, do you think?
But a little bit of both.
Okay. You confronted Chief and that turned his mind around, and then going to Vince probably put the cherry on top.
Yep.
Wow. Man, that is I felt like I was starting to know a lot of the Jake Roberts stories. That is a brand spanking new one. Holy shit. That's crazy.
Knock that fat fuck out, man.
Man, you would have been well within your rights to punch his fucking lights out, trying to keep you from getting home.
No shit.
What a dick. I have to imagine though that your next opponent coming out of this thing with Steamboat might have something to do with him, because I love George the Animal Steel, but he was certainly not known for his work. Do you think he had something to do with you getting in the ring with Steel after this?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
I would not be either, based on what you're saying there. But
treat to get booked with George.
You know, he is, in his defense, he is a legend by this stage in his career. He's got a great legacy, already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But he's no spring chicken. What can you tell us about getting in there with Big George?
Oh, man. We used to do some crazy shit out there, man.
Yeah?
You know, he would go over and get the bag and say, mine, mine. He would grab it with his teeth and carry it to the other side of the ring.
What the fuck?
Yeah. That was my idea.
It's a great idea.
And so then I would knock the shit out of it and grab it and drag it back to my side. So we'd do that 2 or 3 times. All that's doing is eating time up off the clock.
Yep.
So finally I'd go off on him, get a little heat on him, and then the comeback would be him slamming me 6 times.
That's a lot.
That was a rib.
You were ribbing George?
Yes. Because he would get so fucking blown up slamming me. Because each time he went to pick me up, I'd get a little heavier. A little heavier. Finally, by that 6'1", brother, he's having to lift my fucking ass.
Oh my God.
And he'd be huffing and puffing.
Now, when you get back up and he's winded and you're all full of energy, how does that go?
Now I whip his ass.
And he just can't do anything.
He can't do shit.
Dude, what an amazing rib. Did George ever get pissed about it?
Oh, he finally figured it out.
So you were doing this night after night and it took him a bit.
Yeah.
That is too funny.
Yeah, it took him a few weeks.
Now, George, of course, he's gonna go. He'll wrestle a little bit longer, and then he's gonna go on to become a agent with the company.
Yeah.
Outside the ring, how was your relationship with Big George?
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I've heard that he was like a real gentleman and kind of went out of his way to help a lot of the guys.
Yeah, he was good, man. He was good to people.
The first match with Steel is going to take place at the historic Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, and it's actually going to happen, Jake, on the day that I was born, October 3rd, 1986. So that explains why you weren't there for my birth.
That explains a whole lot.
It's going to be in front of 16,000 fans. Hogan's going to wrestle Orndorff on the same card. And Jake, the thing that we always hear is that after you come to the WWF, everybody begins to clamor for that Hogan card, having a spot on the Hogan card, because that means you're going to have a bigger house and you're going to get paid more. Was that something that you had to figure out kind of on your own, or did somebody smarten you up on that when you came in?
I figured that out real quick.
What was your introduction to that notion?
Well, I just looked at the check.
So you just compare the two checks and it's probably night and day.
Yep. And you know what was crazy?
What's that?
The same number of people would be at the fucking building and you would get less money.
Really?
Yes. You'd go to Rosemont and sell it out, but your check wouldn't be near what it was if you was on Hogan's card.
That sounds to me like the management had figured out that was the talk among the boys. And so they're like, oh, well, now we've got a license to pay them less on the other shows.
Absolutely.
Holy shit. So we're getting some revelations here on the Snake Pit this week. With the kind of momentum that you had gained as a heel at this point, did you feel like it was inevitable that you're going to have a rivalry with Hulk? Was it like in the cards for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew I was going to get to Hulk.
We'll get there in a minute. Chicago, the city, it's, the Croc gets considered Chicago to be the best city for JCP. 1986 here this year. It's going to be their best year in wrestling, according to them, as far as the amount of money that they made. And of course, WWF always does well there. Jake, Chicago, as compared to other major cities or outlets like New York or Philadelphia, what do you think made wrestling so successful in that city?
It was just hot, man. It was just hot. And the building was great. That Rosemont Horizon was fabulous.
Wood ceilings.
Yeah.
Acoustics. Yeah. What a hell of a place.
Yeah.
Well, moving on from George, you found yourself nose to nose with a man that you are very familiar with. He's your old pal, Sylvester Ritter, Junkyard Dog. As we've discussed here on the show, you had a relationship with him dating back to Calgary and then, of course, Mid-South. And here you're reunited, October 1986, and you're going to work a series of house show matches as part of a larger loop the company ran. Jake, as far as you were concerned, was this the same old JYD that you had gotten to know? It's pretty well documented that by this time in his career, he had kind of gained some weight and succumbed to his addictions in many ways.
Yeah, his addiction whooped his ass, man. It whipped his ass. And he was in full-blown addiction mode, man. You couldn't get him to do shit in the ring because he'd blow up in about 10 seconds. He just wanted to walk and talk. And it was horrible, man. It was sad. It was just plain fucking sad, that he had gotten like that. And I tried to talk to him one time, and he pretty much told me to fuck off.
Really?
Yeah.
What a shame, man, because, Dog, he was just so naturally talented and got over so well in Louisiana. And now here he is. He's again on the biggest stage in wrestling, the huge opportunity, and he can't really take advantage of it to its fullest.
No, he couldn't do shit, man. But he still got over.
Oh, yeah.
But he still got over, And, but just to watch him languish in that slush pit called addiction, man, it was just horrible.
Now, obviously, he was making great money in Mid-South, but now, it's with merchandise and everything else that was going on in New York. I assume he was making a lot more.
A lot of fucking money.
And again, to Jake's point, he was over. He was on that rock and wrestling cartoon show and like super huge character at the time. Jake, do you think that the success and the money he was making lent to his addiction issues?
No, man, it just made it to where he could afford it. That's all.
It just made it easier for him to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Man, Junkyard Dog is a big what if in my mind when it comes to his run in the WWF and what it could have been if he had started it, 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
During this 3-match sequence in mid-October, Erie, Pennsylvania is going to be one of the stops. And it's a really small market, but you and Dog are going to be the main event on the card. And man, being the main event, even on a house show, even in a place like Erie, Pennsylvania, it's the WWF. It's got to feel like a real vote of confidence, right?
Sure, absolutely. It tells you that they believe in you.
Now, we've heard over the years that when it came to house shows as opposed to TV tapings, it's kind of like a moment when the talents get to let their hair down, have some fun, and do some shit that maybe they wouldn't usually do in matches. Were you doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, you'd experiment more.
Okay.
You'd try new stuff. Not that you're going out there and being silly. I didn't ever do that. Some guys did.
Yep.
They get fucking lazy too, But I didn't. But it gave you an opportunity to try new stuff to see if it would work.
When you say new stuff, do you mean like new moves, new ways to behave with the audience, or what?
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of everything.
Stuff with the audience, stuff in the ring with your opponent, trying new stuff. Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned before that when you first come to the WWF, it was very the locker room was not a welcoming atmosphere.
No.
And because again, it's everybody knows who Jake the Snake is from your time in Mid-South and elsewhere. And now it's, oh, great. Now this guy's competition here.
Yeah.
By this point, again, you're making some of these small towns. You're well positioned in the small towns, but are you traveling with JYD or because of kayfabe, you're not allowed to?
I just wouldn't do it.
Oh, okay. Who was your buddy during this period?
I don't think I had anybody.
Really?
I traveled by myself.
Do you like that, or were you kind of miserable?
No, it doesn't bother me to be by myself. That way I like the company.
The only parts you have to deal with are your own.
That's it.
Following the initial set of matches with JYD, you wrestled a match in the Maple Leaf Gardens against our old pal, HTM, the Honky Tonk Man, in front of 10,000 fans. A match is going to be part of a house show loop, and you lost the match with Honky when you went for Damien during the match, but Honky had it hidden under the ring, and subsequently you could not find the snake, so you were counted out. That sounds like it came straight from you.
No, it didn't. I didn't like it.
Oh, you didn't like that idea?
No, it made me look stupid.
Oh, because you're out there fumbling around.
Yeah.
So it was Honky's idea, probably.
Probably Honky's.
Motherfucker. It is a fairly creative finish, so I gotta give that up to Wayne. But I didn't even think about the fact that it would make you look dumb.
It makes you look stupid, man.
Looking stupid, you've got to look kind of like a dangerous adversary as a heel, right? You can't have egg on your face like that.
No, you can't do that.
Now, a lot of folks forget this, but Honky started out in the WWF as a fan favorite babyface, and he was even endorsed by Hogan when he first arrived in the company shortly before this. So, Jake, if things had gone differently, do you think a character like an Elvis impersonator could have made for a viable long-term babyface, or is he just a natural-born heel?
Natural born heel.
I think so. And not just the character, but the man. I think Wayne Ferris is a good heel.
Yeah, he's a great heel.
Well, next up here with fellow heel Randy Savage, and Macho's really on the come up, and in 1987 he's really going to solidify his place as top guy when he has this match with Steamboat WrestleMania 3. Jake, we hear all the time that heel versus heel just doesn't work. But you and Savage are both fantastic, experienced workers by this point in your careers. How do you get the most out of a match like this?
It's easy, man. Just go out and do your shit.
That's it.
Don't worry about what the fucking people are doing.
Just do your own thing.
Do your own thing. They'll pick one guy they want to win.
Interesting.
You don't need to go out and change anything that you're doing. That's when a mistake is made. I didn't go out there and try to be a baby face. We both went out there and tried to be heels.
You know, that's a really fascinating take on it, Jake. And I like thinking about it logically, it sounds correct. I guess I've heard guys over the years say like, well, there's no stakes in a heel versus heel match because the crowd just wants both guys to die. But not true.
No, they'll pick one. They'll pick one guy they want to win.
Well, by all accounts, it was you during these matches. It sounded like the crowd was starting to really support you.
Yeah.
You have previously discussed working with Savage following SummerSlam 91. But you know, here he is. It's right before his big rise, which is pretty remarkable. Before we return to Savage here, which we'll be talking about him here in the near future, I do want to mention also that you're going to start working with Tito Santana a little bit during this period. And again, great performer and Intercontinental Champion, Hall of Famer. You and Tito wrestled a lot of matches to a draw, often going 20 minutes with no decision. And like Steele, one of these matches was at the Rosemont. As one of the premier baby faces in the company at the time, I imagine you were excited for the opportunity to work with Tito, right?
I was excited.
What can you tell the audience about Tito and his work? I've heard a lot of guys put him over the years.
He was a great mechanic, man. He could do anything in the world out there. Really could.
Now, of course, he's of Hispanic heritage, and it does make me wonder, do you think that they were kind of trying to do the Pedro Morales thing with him for like all those audiences in the Northeast?
Absolutely.
A good idea, and I actually spoke to Tito himself not long ago, and he had said, however, that his run in the WWF, yep, he had a lot of fun, and yes, he became pretty famous, but he was saying that the amount of money that he was making kind of made it prohibitive for him to do anything except for to work, because he was paying for hotels and food and travel. Were you feeling that way, or did you feel like you were making the best money of your life at this point?
I was still making the best money of my life.
Do you think you're just more frugal?
No, I spend more than he does.
Were you ever taking steps to be frugal, or were you just saying, fuck it?
Fuck no.
You're buying nice stuff while you're out and about.
I live good. I eat good.
You got to treat yourself or you lose your damn mind out there on the road, right?
Great.
Jake, in late 1986, the WWF is going to give you your own interview segment modeled after Piper's Pit. And of course, it's the namesake of our show here. It's the Snake Pit. Jake, what can you tell us about the idea and how it was first presented to you?
Well, there was a guy there named Nelson. He was one of the big wigs.
I know who you're talking about, and I can't come up with his name either.
Nelson. Yeah, anyway, I went to a show. I can't remember where it was at. And I went out and I looked around the arena and I see the Snake Pit. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And Nelson came to me and he goes, what do you think? I'm like, man, somebody's got something going on. He goes, well, somebody's you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, that's yours. And that's how I found out about it.
You get to the building and find out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I went to Vince. I'm like, what do you want done? He goes, we're going to give you 3 guys. Just go out and do what you want to do. That's all he told me. I didn't know how far I could go. I didn't know what the limits were. I didn't know what the don't do that shit is. And I really didn't handle it right. What I should have done, instead of just trying to play it soft and middle of the road, is I should have went for it.
Mm.
And then have Vince come back to me later and say, don't ever do that again. It would have been better that way.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Now, when you say really go for it, what do you think that you could have done a little bit over the top more than you did?
Oh, I would have fucking been nailing the guys. I'd have been putting the snake on them. I'd have been doing all sorts of shit. I mean, I could have taken the snake and went after a guy and had the guy punch me and let me stagger back a little bit, then let him take off and run.
See, that's great shit.
That's easy shit. He stays over because he hit me.
Mm-hmm.
I stay over because I still got the fucking snake, and here I am finishing the show.
To me, that doesn't feel like anything Vince would like turn his nose up at either. It sounds like something he'd love.
Oh, I should have pushed it. That's what I'm saying.
Jake, you had mentioned it. You got 3 guys on your first episode of the Snake Pit. If we're talking about nearly 40 years ago, do you have any memory of who your first guests were?
I do not.
The first man that walked out on the Snake Pit before the other 2 came out is your old pal who used to let you try the Cosmic Cookie. It was King Curtis. He came out with Kamala and kimchi.
There we go.
There it is, man. Jake, doing the Snake Pit, did it involve any extra work or preparation for you moving forward?
Sure it did. You had to think a lot, man. You had to think of what you were going to say, what you were going to do. You know?
What helped you to do your best thinking while you're on the road?
Weed.
I had a feeling the answer is going to be either weed or music.
Yeah, weed and music.
Pink Floyd and weed, and we're off to the races.
Yeah. Did you hear Pink Floyd sold all their music?
They did to who?
Sony.
No, I bet they made like $1 billion.
400 million.
Oh, good for them, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Are you kidding me?
I wonder if those guys ever thought back in like the 60s or 50s, whenever they began writing music, like one day I'm going to be old and I'm going to get, generational money for making this.
Yeah, man. He just said it. They just set their families up for generations.
Like their grandkids' kids are going to be benefiting.
Yeah. Yeah, they all will.
So, man, good for them.
Yeah, great.
We're approaching the end of the year here, and you're going to have one of the most infamous moments of your career and something that's become a wrestling urban legend. Of course, I'm talking about the DDT on Hogan in the Snake Pit. And folks, Jake and I explored that way back on episode 2 of the Snake Pit. So if you really want to get into kind of the nitty gritty on that, go back into the archives. You'll get the full story there. However, there are a few things that I think we may have left on the table. Jake, you would face Savage at Saturday night's main event in Los Angeles. And though the end of the match is going to end in a draw, you are very notably getting a massive babyface reaction here in one of the biggest markets for the WWF.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yep. And so, again, just to remind listeners, you had just DDT'd Steamboat on the floor a few months prior, like one of the nastiest heels in all of wrestling, but the crowd was loving you.
Yep.
And of course, after that, here's the DDT on Hogan in the Snake Pit. It's never going to air, but, the word gets around among fans.
Yeah.
I lay all that out to ask, did you feel like the wheels were always in motion for you to become a babyface, or was the initial plan to continue your run with Hulk into 87?
I think I was brought in to be a heel.
Yeah.
But they didn't expect the babyface turn. I did.
You knew it would come.
I knew it would come.
What was the tip off for you?
Anytime you have a heel that is so strong as I was, the fans are going to turn a babyface. because they don't want to be left out in the cold cheering for somebody they know that's going to get beat. And as strong as I was, having the DDT, having the snake, there's just too much there, and having the great interviews.
Yep.
There's too much there for the fans to say, fuck, we got to cheer for this motherfucker because we're tired of fucking looking like shit.
And now you're on an interview segment on top of it with a cool looking set.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're coming out there and you're quoting like the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd. It's like you were just fucking cool.
Yeah. Badass.
Now, I know that you prefer being a heel. Did you ever have a moment where you thought to yourself, maybe I need, because we always hear there's a difference. There's a badass heel and there's a chicken shit heel. Chicken shit heels tend to not get over with crowds as much as baby faces. Did you ever have a moment where you thought like, maybe I should act more like a chicken shit?
No.
Why is that?
Not in me.
Okay.
Not in me.
Well, I can probably speak on behalf of audience and say we're all glad that you didn't, because we got this cool babyface run. And look, I know that it was disappointing not to get to run with Hulk, but objectively, would you say that the babyface turn was the exact correct thing for your career at this time?
Unfortunately, it was. Unfortunately, it was, but it cost me a lot of money. A lot.
Now, as a baby face, all of a sudden your face is on magazines. You're getting a lot of action figures and stuff like that. Did you feel like you made up for it with money from that sort of thing, or not even close?
No, not even close.
This will be our last question for the week, and it's something I'm really curious about when it comes to you, because over the course of your career, Jake, you've pretty consistently gotten turned by fans. The fans always, whatever territory you're in, they begin cheering for you by a few months into your heel run.
Yep.
Can you kind of sum up the psychology behind why fans were drawn to you during this period? When kayfabe, you had mentioned that fans like a badass heel, but again, kayfabe is still pretty strong, and so like you're doing some pretty evil shit in front of these fans, but they still like you. What do you think it is about you?
I'm just too fucking cool, man. It's got to be the mustache.
I'm thinking that's it. It's a little peek behind the curtain for our listeners. I do work for Diamond Dallas Page. I help him out with social media. And the one night we were talking about Jake on the phone, and he was saying like there was something about Jake that fans really connected with. And I kind of interjected in that moment. I was like, I think that he connected with fans the same way that Scott Hall did. Some guys just walk into the fucking room and you're like,